What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy Willie Does Wrestling, back at it again with a brand new video. I'm going to fix my camera a little bit. And welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to a brand new reaction video. That's right, we're bringing the reaction videos back to the channel. And I was supposed to be doing a WWE versus AEW debate, but that got postponed. So I figured instead, let's do the reaction content. Let's bring it back. Let's see what other wrestling content creators have to say about good old pro wrestling. And I got this video in my recommended from 9 days ago. The worst WWE pay-per-view from every year of the 2010s. Now, I started watching wrestling as a hardcore, die-hard fan in 2016. But I do know a few of the pay-per-views from the early 2010s. A lot of the booking decisions back then weren't particularly great. So we're going to react to this video made by Parts of Unknown. We're going to give our thoughts and we're going to react to it. Maybe even laugh a little bit. I know Parts of Unknown are also made by the same people who do Wrestle Talk. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Wrestle Talk YouTube channel. But I don't mind Parts of Unknown in my honest opinion. So without further ado, let's see what Parts of Unknown thinks are the worst WWE pay-per-view of every year in the 2010s. Let's get it.
Last week, I started my list of the best WWE pay-per-view of every year of the 2010s by talking about the decline of Western society and everything steadily getting worse over the course of the decade. So naturally, for this week, I'll do the opposite of that and talk about all the ways the world got better over the course of the 2010s. So, I mean, the MCU is pretty cool. Anyway, the WWE product had the worst creative decade of its existence in the 2010s, but thankfully with the influx of hyper-talented wrestlers signing and ultimately making it to the main roster, the quality of the matches in WWE did see a vast improvement, which makes it all the...
Why did I say I first thought I clicked on the wrong video because he was talking very positively.
more appalling that we got pay-per-views like these.
Oh, there we go.
From Parts of Unknown, and this is the worst WWE pay-per-view from every year of the 2010s. But
also, before we get started, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to turn post notifications on so that way you never miss an upload. I also posted my universe mode earlier on today, and my camera is being a fucking bitch as always. I need to go to Best Buy and I need to get a brand new one. This is fucking bullshit. Oh, now my laptop's completely bugging out. Fuck off. This is not a very good start to this video. Like a slight camera movement and it's just fucked. That's how it is. That freeze frame does not help at all either. Alright, if it keeps going like this, we might just have to stick to the laptop webcam, guys. Like the laptop camera. And it's not the best quality either. But anyway, subscribe if you're new.
Before we get on with this list, make sure, of course, that you like this video, which you'll see a clip of at the end. 2010, bragging rights. Why are there people that want the bragging rights pay-per-view to come back? Did the mostly terrible Red vs. Blue Survivor Series era not teach you lot that this is a very bad idea?
Wow, it goes to show how much of a wrestling fan I was in the 2010s. I did not know that there was a pay-per-view poster for bragging rights that had the fucking Nexus logo on it. Really? In the few months that the Nexus were relevant, you really put their logo on a pay-per-view poster? What's next? The Wyatt 6 going to be on a pay-per-view logo? SummerSlam, it's going to be a SummerSlam? Okay, this fucking webcam can just go away. Didn't mean to rage like that. Sick and fucking tired. It's also 35 degrees outside, so it is not helping me at all. Yeah, enjoy the crappy camera quality, guys. We're not even a minute into this video, and my camera's giving me problems.
Terrible Red vs. Blue Survivor Series era not teach you lot that this is a very bad idea? Bragging rights only ran for 2 years, and while the 2009 edition of the show was mostly fine, the 2010 follow-up was just dreadful. Things start hot.
The only thing I really remember from bragging rights was I think it was bragging rights, when Batista turned heel on Rey Mysterio. That's the only thing I remember from bragging rights ever.
with Daniel Bryan beating Dolph Ziggler in a battle of the mid-card belts, but then the show drops off a cliff, leaving a Nexus logo-shaped crater in the ground like Wile E. Coyote. Nexus member John Cena and David Otunga beating the brand new tag champs Cody and Drew. The 2010 tag division was shambolic, but it doesn't get better because Ted DiBiase defends the $1 Million Championship against Goldust because Dustin loves gold. The look of it, the taste of it, the smell of it, the texture. Layla beats.
Yeah, another thing I didn't really know was that they brought back the $1 Million Championship when Ted DiBiase Jr. was a singles competitor.
Natalia in a frankly horrible match for the Divas title. Undertaker and Kane culminate the worst chapter of their horrible rivalry in a buried alive match that hinged on Nexus attacking Taker in an angle that is never followed up on. The titular brag.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If I was a wrestling fan in this era and I saw that The Undertaker versus Kane, Nexus comes over, and then it's just like, oh, the Nexus came and costed Undertaker, I'd be like, why, man? But then again, this was the time where like the Nexus were basically these jobbers who wanted to beat up every WWE wrestler to take over, and then they did nothing with them because Cena wins, lol.
Rights match was long and boring, and then the main event ended in a loophole. If Wade Barrett didn't beat Randy Orton, Cena would be fired. Cena got Orton DQ'd and thus kept his job exactly the way a paying customer wants to see. On a technicality. 2011.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. When you have bullshit finishes like this, and then you remember there was a time where the only way you could watch WWE pay-per-views was if you paid $50, $60 to watch it. Like, Jesus Christ. Could you imagine if pay-per-views were still like that in Hell in a Cell 2019? It's just like, I paid $60 for this.
WrestleMania 27. We had a couple of WrestleManias take the top spots on this list's best pay-per-view counterpart, and that should be...
I tried watching WrestleMania 27 back. I couldn't. I got bored after the first match, I think. I got through one match, and then I was like, oh, this is fucking boring. I know a lot of people probably like WrestleMania 27 for a lot of the matches on the card, including the Undertaker match with Triple H, but nah, man. Couldn't get into it.
How it goes. The biggest pay-per-view of the year should be the best pay-per-view of the year. You have done so many WrestleManias to this point, you should be able to get it right, which is what makes it so much more frustrating when after 26 tries, we still got a WrestleMania this terrible. 2011 is a real ass year for WWE. The 40-man Rumble, the R-Truth main event push, Kevin Nash, the Muppets, and Michael Cole's incessant dickheadery ringing in our ears throughout it all. But
we need that back. We need heel Michael Cole back.
The jewel in the 2011 is nonsense crown.
The only good thing about 2011 was CM Punk. But even then, that was met with some bullshit too. The Del Rio cash-in, Kevin Nash, all that bull. Yeah.
Is WrestleMania 27. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler in a half-hour segment that should have been 10 minutes.
For the longest time, I thought that was 2012. But then again, I didn't watch WrestleMania 27 the whole way through.
The Core, full stop. And The Miz in the main event he will never stop talking about, even though it is the kind of match that you would want everyone to forget existed. What a show. 2012, No Way Out. In the last decade, we have seen old pay-per-views like Backlash and No Mercy make long-awaited returns either on the main roster or in NXT.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're rumored to get Bad Blood coming back. They watch the universe mode.
And one that is in dire need of a return is No Way Out. Why? Well, because then this pile of trash won't have to stand as the final No Way Out.
Oh my god, I forgot about that poster. Fucking Christ. Live on pay-per-view. Yes, yes, yes. Are you kidding me? Look at AJ Lee up there. Bryan Danielson. Like, man, you couldn't pay me enough to make this poster.
Out event. This is an episode of Raw on pay-per-view. And I don't know if you remember, but Raw sucked in 2012. Santino versus Ricardo Rodriguez in a tuxedo match.
Did that really happen on pay-per-view? Santino Marella and Ricardo Rodriguez? I would not pay for that, dude. For that one match alone.
So many short, nothing matches, including yet another pointless Ryback squash. But hey, that's John Silver. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan's excellent over-the-limit wrestling match was followed up by adding Kane, what all great wrestling feuds need, and a love square involving all three men and AJ Lee.
I remember when my parents were casual wrestling fans, AJ Lee was in the middle of her, like, fucking kissing everyone angle with, yeah, it was actually Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, and Kane. Do you guys remember that one poll that they did on Raw where I think it was the build up to the 1000th episode, and it was like, who should AJ choose? AJ Punk, AJ Bryan, AJ Kane, or AJ All? I remember making a tweet. I was like, could you imagine voting AJ All? How the fuck would that work?
And this show was capped off with a Big Show John Cena main event cage match that no one in the year of our Lord 2012 could possibly have wanted to see, following Big Show's 21st, 22nd heel turn the month prior that meant we all had to sit through scumbag John Laurinaitis for another month. This is a skippable pay-per-view if ever there was one, and 2012 had loads of them. 2013, Battleground. There may not have ever been a series of pay-per-views with a worse success rate than Battleground. 2016 may have ruined the streak of terrible shows by having the...
That 2016 Battleground, dude, is the first pay-per-view I ever watched as a hardcore wrestling fan. I actually own the DVD for it. Fucking Christ, my shelf is insanely packed. I can't even get it out. Battleground 2016. I loved this show. I found it at a pawn shop. It was in great fucking condition. I always find myself lucky finding this pay-per-view. First pay-per-view I ever watched as a hardcore wrestling fan, and one of my favorite pay-per-views I've ever seen, like, personally. Not my favorite pay-per-view of all time, but that goes to WrestleMania 33. And I know not a lot of people like WrestleMania 33.
Audacity to be good, but that streak well and truly began in 2013. With the lone exception of the Brothers Rhodes versus The Shield, nothing on this card deserves to be anywhere near a pay-per-view card. Curtis Axel versus...
How dare you say that about the Queen, Nikki Bella? Oh my god. Wrestling Twitter is not gonna like you, bro. She's a queen, man. She deserves the Hall of Fame induction. Oh my god. I'm gonna show you the clip of Nikki Bella's 2016 SummerSlam return. She means that much to me. She's mother, or something like that. It's like, fuck off.
Nothing on this card deserves to be anywhere near a pay-per-view card. Curtis Axel versus R-Truth for the Intercontinental Championship, Bray Wyatt versus Kofi Kingston, Santino Marella and the Great Khali as a tag team, and for the love of God, one of the most offensive pro wrestling matches in history, where Big Show just decided the show was over in the middle of the Daniel Bryan Randy Orton WWE Championship match. How dare WWE have people part with their hard-earned money and book this show? Actual thievery that should have resulted in jail time. 2014, the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like you pay God knows how much money to watch this pay-per-view for God knows why. There's a lot of hardcore fans out there, but it's like, oh shit, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, WWE Championship. I'm pretty sure Battleground was after SummerSlam, so it's like, oh well, I keep calling him Bryan Danielson. Will Daniel Bryan win the WWE Championship back after the Randy Orton cash-in? What's going to happen? Big Show heel turn number 406? It's just like, fuck, I'm not paying money for a WWE show again. Thank God for the WWE Network.
Now, I will start this entry with a bit of a hot take. I don't think the 2014 Royal Rumble match is as bad as people think. It has...
No, I actually watched that back in the build-up to this year's Royal Rumble. I watched the 2014 Royal Rumble match. I liked it. I loved it. CM Punk lasting as long as he did in his last ever match in his first run. I felt like that was a good way to go. a lot of very talented people in that match. Roman Reigns' performance, great. I feel like the only reason why so many people didn't like it was because Batista won. And what's funny about this was that this was the time a lot of people believed in Roman Reigns. Before the sniveling, suffering, succotash son, they believed in this version of Roman Reigns. But they wanted to bring back Batista to hype up Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's just like, well, there you go. There you go.
Roman's actually great Rumble performance, Punk's Iron Man run, some cute interactions. I mean, it's not great by any means, but it does look like a masterpiece compared to what comes next. That being said, it is one of the most
Oh yeah, I forgot Alexander Rusev got called up in this match too.
Deaf pay-per-views WWE has ever done. Best high.
Okay, justice for Rey Mysterio, dude. Yeah, and I also feel like I completely forgot. Yeah, this was also like because Daniel Bryan was the guy. If it wasn't Daniel Bryan, it should have been Roman Reigns. That was how it was with these people. Because Daniel Bryan was screwed a lot in this storyline, and Daniel Bryan was getting massively over. It's like, oh, Daniel Bryan's going to be number 30. Rey Mysterio was number 30, and these people fucking booed Rey out of the building, the poor Hall of Famer. And it's just like, man, I know you wanted Bryan to be number 30, but respect the GOAT, man. Rey didn't even last that long in this match anyways, I don't think. And I think this was actually one of Rey's last WWE appearances. Because I know he got released sometime in 2014, but, you know.
Highlighted by the company omitting Daniel Bryan from the Royal Rumble match, which will forever knock the match down several pegs. But other than that, this show is just shit. Like other entries, it starts off hot with a very good Daniel Bryan-Bray Wyatt match, but I hope you got all that fun
R.I.P.
out of your system watching it, because that's all you were going to get on this show. Brock Lesnar winning a 2-minute match following a back-and-forth beatdown, and episode 42...
Probably the most forgettable match about Brock Lesnar in Brock Lesnar's entire second run. Besides that one time they tried to have Brock Lesnar fight Seth Rollins on Raw for the WWE Championship in 2015 that went nowhere, but yeah. Or Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston, actually. That's the most forgettable match in his second run. Or Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet. Or Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. He has a lot of forgettable matches.
Two of the worst show on earth, entitled John Cena versus Randy Orton. Seconds into this one, and the crowd were chanting boring. They chanted, "We want divas." In 2014, a Total Divas rerun was more popular than this pissing match. But as I said, this leads me to 2015, the Royal Rumble.
There we
show
go.
has one of the best WWE matches of all time on it, and it is still easily one of the worst pay-per-views the company has ever put on.
That triple threat match was fire.
Think of how bad that show has to be to not even be close to redemption, with Brock Lesnar versus John Cena versus Seth Rollins on it. The Ascension in the midst of being completely ruined following their main roster call-up, opening this show against the Old Age Outlaws. And boy, if that didn't set the tone for this show. The Usos beat the Mizes, the Bellas beat Natalya and Paige. This was a dreadful card, save for the aforementioned epic triple threat before we got to the Royal Rumble match. And I'm going to assume you've seen a wrestling list before, and therefore know just how awful this match is. 2015 was a terrible year for WWE, highlighted by a never-ending need to make Roman Reigns their top babyface, and it was never more apparent than this godforsaken imitation of a Royal Rumble match.
I remember when the Rock, when he came out to save Roman Reigns from Kane and the Big Show, and then Roman won the match, and The Rock raised his hand. Like, that face right there was just like, why the fuck is everyone booing, man? They're booing my cousin. Well, it was because people didn't like Roman Reigns. It was too little too late, and they were shoving him down our throats. And, yeah. It wasn't until 2020 when Roman Reigns turned heel, which was something a lot of people wanted the entire time. That was when Roman Reigns finally got the respect. And coincidentally, that was also a time where Roman Reigns was the most protective person on the roster, but he was a heel.
match. 2016, WrestleMania 32. And
Yeah.
just in case you are the
I mean, it was obvious it was going to be WrestleMania 32. It's like, what other pay-per-view would you have given it? Probably... No, actually, Roadblock wasn't even that bad. Fastlane?
uninitiated that may have thought that the Roman Reigns experiment ended in 2015, here you have the 2016 equivalent of the 15 Rumble. Roman pushed as the top babyface of the company, winning the WWE Championship.
I've always had that theory where if Rollins never got injured, this should have been main evented by a Shield triple threat. Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns. Even if you have Rollins hold the belt all the way until WrestleMania 32, or if you had Ambrose win the Rumble, and then have Roman get in the match somehow, like let's say Roman Ambrose, and if Roman wins, he gets put in the match as a triple threat, then you do that, then you do Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns, and then you have Reigns win the belt. I feel like it would have been 10 times as better than Roman beating Triple H, who had no business being in the main event. And, you know, I know that we already had Reigns and Ambrose at Survivor Series 2015, but you could have ran that match back. You could have had Ambrose win the belt, have Roman get jealous, and then just Reigns becomes the #1 contender by beating Brock one-on-one, and then there you go. Who would you have Brock face at WrestleMania 32? Fuck, I don't know. Shane? I don't fucking know, man. Bray and Brock. Actually, I think Bray Wyatt was injured. I don't know.
In a half-hour monotonous Mania main event. This is the first Mania that just wouldn't end as well, going 6 hours and 49 minutes if you include the pre-show. That is absurd. Now, it isn't as if every match on this show sucked. The ladder match is great. The women's three-way is great. The
Zack Ryder should have had a longer reign as IC champ, bro.
Jericho Styles match is technically pretty good, but the decisions on this show are just nonsensical. Jericho beats Styles. Sasha doesn't...
Yeah, that pissed me off. AJ's first WrestleMania after an amazing debut at the Rumble, and you have him lose to Chris Jericho. But I think they probably did that just to be like, AJ is mortal. We don't want him to win every single match. But it's like, still, man, that Y2AJ storyline, you could have easily had AJ win.
Win the title. The League of Nations beat the New Day, for God's
That pissed me off, too. It wasn't even for the tag belts. It was a 6-man tag.
sake. All the favorites just kept losing. And on top of that, some of these matches are just plain bad. A Hell in a Cell match with precisely one memorable spot that manages to go a half hour. Ambrose and Lesnar putting on maybe the most disappointing Mania match ever. And again, that horrible...
Yeah, well, they built that Ambrose-Lesnar match to be like the most extreme shit ever. They gave us the highest of expectations. This is going to be GCW meets WWE, and they did jack shit with it. So I do understand why a lot of people hated the Ambrose-Lesnar match. I did too. Like, I remember when a bunch of hardcore legends like Terry Funk and Mick Foley were giving Ambrose a whole bunch of weapons to fight Lesnar with, and it was just basically all the weapons you can find in 2K, not including the ECW Punk Pack. I'm talking about the chairs and kendos and all that shit.
Self-indulgent, masturbatory main event. You had 26 Manias to get it right in 2011, but you had 31 by 2016. Unacceptable.
Hey man, 31 was a great Mania. I don't care what anybody says about that. I loved WrestleMania 31. 32, fuck that.
2017, Battleground. Hey, Battleground, been a while. How you doing? Still... Oh, I'm shocked. After the anomaly that was Battleground 2016, we were back to our regularly scheduled dog in 2017. Now, when the advertised main event of your pay-per-view is a Punjabi prison match with WWE champion Jinder Mahal, fans probably shouldn't be going in with particularly high expectations.
Cena wins, lol. Yeah, that feud always confused me too, where it was just like, Cena's back, yay! And then Rusev's like, America sucks. Okay, I hate you now.
But holy shit.
Like, didn't they basically do that in their 2015 feud, but there was a purpose there with the U.S. belt? neither of them had the U.S. belt this time, so what the fuck was the point?
Battleground, you didn't even live up to those. Sami Zayn beating newly debuted Mike Kanellis in a nothing match. Shinsuke Nakamura not being allowed to escape the welcome to the main roster of War.
Shinsuke Nakamura is like, fuck, I could have stayed in New Japan. Shinsuke Nakamura, actually both Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin deserve better. They deserve to be booked way fucking better. I love both these men, but no. Both of them should have been WWE champion. Corbin should have cashed in his Money in the Bank contract successfully, even if you were going to give him a short reign, and Nakamura should have won at WrestleMania 38. But you didn't, which I'm still mad at. I remember watching the segment where Baron Corbin failed his Money in the Bank cash in against Jinder Mahal. I was there like, what the fuck are we doing? You had Baron Corbin lose a cash in to Jinder Mahal. And I know before all the fact checkers correct me, it was because of backstage issues. But it's like, you could have resolved them. You don't even have to punish him. But it was about CTE and all that. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, they're very sensitive to that. So it was just like, fuck you. You lose your briefcase. You lose your push, buddy. Now go be a constable. Go be broke. Go be rich. Go be burn the ships and fuck off.
Vortex that is a feud with Baron Corbin, with Corbin getting DQ'd in their match. Maybe a work, maybe a shoot botched finish to the KO AJ US title match. This show never stood a chance. And then
I'm going to say a bit of a hot take, though. I loved the new Face of America gimmick for Kevin Owens, and I wish it should have lasted longer. I know a lot of people hated the new Face of America gimmick, but I loved it. I genuinely loved it.
And yes, this show was main evented by a Punjabi prison match. The match that was never good in the first place, brought back to be not good for a new generation.
Well, the thing was as well, it was like Great Khali came back, and it was like, wow, I can't wait to see Great Khali back in the WWE and see what he has to do. Never came back besides the Saudi shows. Are you fucking kidding me?
2018, Crown Jewel.
Yeah, now we're in the fucking very bad pay-per-views.
Oh, it was only a matter of time before Saudi Arabia debuted on this list. Somehow this will be their only appearance, but it wouldn't be for a lack of trying. Even if you take out the human element of this show being horrendous, with Donald f***ing Trump urging WWE not to hold the event after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, but them doing it anyway, this show is still so...
I remember, like, my dad was a huge watcher of CNN, and I remember there being numerous segments of the show where they were talking about WWE's decision to continue doing Crown Jewel 2018, and so many people were like, what the fuck is WWE doing? Like, dog, a journalist got murdered. What are we doing? But Vince McMahon did not care, and he sent his kids out there to be like, well, you know, contractual obligations, it's a business thing, and we just had, the show must go on, guys. And it's just like, no, it doesn't fucking have to go on. John Cena pulled out. Daniel Bryan pulled out. I think Kevin Owens also pulled out. A lot of people pulled out. Samoa Joe wrestled on it to replace Bryan. Daniel said, fucking Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan.
Completely unwatchable. From the WWE World Cup, composed entirely of Americans, being won by Shane McMahon, to Brock Lesnar just...
Fucking wanted to quit watching WWE after this show. I remember, like, on my Insta stories getting super mad at Brock winning the Universal belt again because he was a part-timing bastard who never showed up. And Roman Reigns, we were saved from the part-time bastard, but he unfortunately had leukemia, and then it was like, oh, sweet, okay, so we're going to have Brock versus Strowman. Sweet, we're going to have a Strowman Universal title reign. He did very good. Maybe now we reward him with a world title? No. Brock. Again. Now, if only I knew back then, we would have a Roman reign that was way worse than Brock's. But at this point, I was a 15-year-old kid that was just like, fuck this shit.
Winning back the Universal title in 3 minutes because of Baron Corbin, to the match that wrestling fans probably would agree is the one we would all like to collectively wipe from our collective consciousness the most. The Brothers of Destruction versus...
Actually, I would remove The Fiend versus Seth Rollins a lot more than this match. I don't care.
DX, bald Shawn Michaels, out of retirement for one more cash-grabbing match. It's one of the most depressing matches ever, and one that we all try to ignore anytime we get to talking about Shawn Michaels, retirement matches, WrestleMania 26, WrestleMania main events, or really any other chance that we get. 2019, Hell in a Cell.
Kane's mask getting ripped off as well. Triple H tearing his pec. Oh, here we go. Here we go. 2019 Hell in a Cell, easily my pick for worst pay-per-view of all time. Of all time. Not just from the 2010s, of all time. Worst pay-per-view ever. I made a video last year about it. Go ahead and watch it. Fucking abysmal. This was when you knew Vince McMahon was out of touch. Easy. The fuck with a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match. We had 3, maybe 4 matches before the show. Then they announced like 5 more that were better off on an episode of Raw. And then this was like days after Kofi Kingston got fucked over by Brock Lesnar as well. It was like, what are we doing? And this was also at a time where AEW also started airing their shows live. And it's just like, well, let's go watch this company now.
So bad it beat out Super Showdown in all its Goldberg versus Undertaker glory. Essays can and have been written about just how badly WWE managed to f this up. You can even watch one with Lovely Pete over on Wrestle Talk.
You could even watch one by me. Last year, I think it was called Hell in a Cell 2019 is the worst pay-per-view of all time. Here's why.
Somehow, WWE managed to kill babyface Seth Rollins, The Fiend, and the Hell in a Cell match in one fell swoop. But let's not skip right to the main event, because after a pretty good start with Becky and Sasha's Hell in a Cell match and Roman and Bryan's Tornado tag, the show just starts to get miserable. Strowman and the Viking Raiders versus AJ and the OC ending in a DQ. The worst possible rematch to the actually good Corbin and Gable match from the King of the Ring.
You should have just had the King of the Ring finals there. There was no point on having Corbin and Gable just have a pay-per-view match.
Bayley losing the women's title in her hometown,
only to win it back a few days later.
2019 was a wretched time in WWE, and there may be no better example of that than this main event. The red cage, the red lighting.
I remember I talked to good friends of the channel, Cheap Pop Wrestling, now known as the Fantasy Faction, and they told me that they watched the show live, and I was like, oh wow, how was the red lighting? It was like, fucking terrible. I couldn't see shit. if I went, like, if I did the travel, got the food, got the hotel, and the seats for the show, plus merch, plus everything else, taxis, I'd be like, I want my fucking money back. This is bull.
Some kind of hammer and the all-time worst Hell in a Cell finish. Keep in mind that AEW aired its first episode of Dynamite 4 days prior to this show, and this was WWE's response.
We'll show those fucks. We'll show Stardust. We'll show Cokehead. We'll show Jake Hager. Back when AEW was good.
Way to end the decade on a high note, WWE. Thankfully, the 2020s appear to be in much better hands.
And then, like, I remember Seth Rollins had, like, an interview where he was like, I was ready to strangle Vince McMahon. I fucking would have. I would have. I'm not lying to you, and I think that's it. How long were we here? 34 minutes. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. I can't shut up. But, yeah, I agree with all of these picks. I mean, I don't disagree with basically any of them. 2016 WrestleMania 32. Yeah, I'd give it that. 2017 Battleground. I would have gave it to Great Balls of Fire personally, but yeah, it's fine. Then Crown Jewel and Hell in a Cell, easily agree. And I don't know too much about like 2010 over to 2014 really give my thoughts, but yeah, no, a very good video made by Parts Unknown. And again, I was bored and I needed a video out, and yeah, so I decided to react to this very good video. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know your picks for the worst WWE pay-per-view from every year of the 2010s. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Ladies and gentlemen, we just did a episode of Raw on our Universe mode that you can go and check out. We also posted our reaction to the Wicked Wyatt 6 debut. We will probably make a video later or maybe tomorrow about what we could expect. Be sure to check out SmackDown as well. I'm aiming to record Universe Mode SmackDown tomorrow. Sorry for lack of uploads from this past week. There was 3 days that I took off because of work and home life. So I apologize. I'm looking to make up for it these next few days. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your boy, Willie Does Wrestling. Be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn post notifications on so that way you never miss an upload. And until next time, this has been your boy, Willie Does Wrestling. I will see you in the next video. Be good people and peace. Later, later.